Hey now, and how are you doing? Want to welcome you to the next episode of Peace, Love, and Bring a Bat. Man, today we're going to have an amazing guest, my friend Rob. We're going to bring in so much information. We're definitely going to have some major power. How are you doing today, Rob?
Dave, I am wonderful. It's great just to know you and get connected with you and to be here today on your podcast. I just want to thank you. Now that I'm here with you, man, things are good. Thanks a lot.
I want to talk a little bit about being unstuck, right? You have that Unstuck podcast and Unstuck movement. And I think that's where our biggest challenges are in life. But let's take it a step back. So, how'd you get unstuck? How did you get to that moment where what I'll call is a phoenix moment or finding your way along the path to be unstuck?
There's been many different situations that I've been stuck in. Because I think we all like throughout life we hit plateaus, and if you stay at that plateau so too long, you get stuck. Right? We get stuck in patterns and different things. But one of the biggest things that I've gotten unstuck from over the course of my life is knowing how to be myself. That was probably the biggest thing throughout the journey of my life was that I always felt like there was a version of me, the true version of me inside of me, and I did not know how to be that person. I didn't have the confidence. I didn't have the know-how. Just simply, I didn't know how to be me. It was like there was me in here, but the outside, something else would come out. It was very
Mm.
incongruent. And so back when I was 15, I was in radio broadcasting for 20 years. And throughout those 20 years, I just excelled and grew in the profession, but also personally as a human being. And I think unknowingly, like at 15 years old, the reason that I wanted to be in radio so bad, the reason I gravitated towards it, because unknowingly I was trying to force myself to come out of my shell. And I didn't know how to come out of my shell. So I was very shy, very introverted, pretty weird kid by my own accord. And I'm still weird's good, but I was weird in the sense of I was just not good at communicating with people and not good at just I was not self-confident.
Mm.
Didn't
Sure.
have self-esteem. And through radio, I could sit in a room by myself. Nobody's in the room, and I could control the conversation. So over the years, I learned how to be me. And I had an epiphany. Actually, my ex-wife helped me have an epiphany one day. I was on the air and she said, "You know how when you answer phone calls on the radio, how you talk then?" And I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Why don't you talk like that all the time?" Because when I would answer a phone call, I would just talk like me, like Rob. But when I was on the radio, I was like, "Hey, I'm on the radio. I'm a radio guy. I got to do the radio stuff." And I was being somebody else.
Mm.
And that was a realization of, oh, wow. So I'm allowed to be me, and people actually like that. And I think that was something for me throughout my life. Like I didn't feel like it was okay to be me. And because I didn't feel like it was okay to be me, then I didn't act like me. So I didn't even really know who I was. And so over the years, man, the biggest unstuck thing for me, and this is still layers of this are still being peeled off. It's not like a
Sure. Yeah.
finished
We work on
product.
ourselves all the time. Sure.
But I think throughout life, the biggest unstuck journey for me is learning how to truly be me. And the more that I am myself, the more congruent I feel, the better connections I make, the better everything gets, the more that I can be me.
100%. I agree. I know we all have different paths, but that's exactly what it was for me as well, differently through my different stories. And that's where I feel now. I feel I'm as congruent with who I am on and off. Yeah, I start off, hey now, with that radio voice, but after that, it's Dave. How do you start off a show? You
Yeah.
got to do it a little bit different, right? And
I always say to people, the hardest part of doing anything, any part of broadcasting is starting. It's
right.
like, what do I say to start? And then also getting out of it. How do I get out of it? But beginning it, like you got to say something. So yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah, so that's how I like starting it off. And then I'm just like, okay, I'm the same person that you've met in person and things like that. So when you started feeling that unstuck, when you were able to see yourself differently, and we're still working on ourselves, that's part of being unstuck is realizing all the pieces that we're stuck. I'm sure you're still finding things that you're stuck on. A human being, we keep growing, so we find ourselves pulled back into either the old story or going forward.
Are you asking what's one of the things that I'm stuck on right now?
No, I'm like, so what do you use to get unstuck? Or how do you notice it?
Oh,
Because I think that's important. That's what I'd like to start off with is how do you notice when you're stuck on something?
I can just feel it. It's like anxiety, and when I feel like I'm really stuck in something, that I'm trapped in that place, it's just an internal feeling of discomfort of not being okay. I think I'm a pretty sensitive person, so like my body feels tight and tense. I can feel a pit in my stomach, like my stomach's tight. So just like physical things like that I can feel, but I also can tell that I'm not being me. So the me that's just me is like the me that I'm being right now. I enjoy laughing, I enjoy goofing off, I enjoy anything funny and lighthearted, but also being meaningful and being purposeful in helping and serving people. So if I find myself retracting back into me, right? If I find myself retracting, like where I don't feel like conversing, or I don't feel like talking, I don't feel like sharing or contributing, then I know I'm stuck somewhere. And
Mm.
that usually for me comes from like a place of, it's insecurity, right? So I've noticed this for myself when I'm around in certain situations around people that intimidate me, either in a positive way or a negative way. I'll go in inside the turtle shell. I'll be in that turtle shell just hiding because I don't want to. I guess I don't want to embarrass myself is maybe what it is, or I don't want to be rejected, right? The fear of rejection. And so when I notice those things happening, breathing obviously is the biggest one. When you find yourself not acting the way you want to act or thinking the way you want to think, you're probably holding your breath a lot. So I
Yep.
always go to that. I always go to just breathe a little bit. And as a man of faith, I believe that God is with us all the time. I believe God is always watching over us, knows everything about us at all times, and loves us unconditionally, even still, even when we don't love ourselves at certain times. And personally, I love the Lord's Prayer. The first verse of the Lord's Prayer, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. So what does that mean? It means that God is in heaven and he's holy and he sees you. This is when I say that to myself in my head in the situation, God's here now. He sees me. He knows everything about me. He knows everything about the situation, everything about the people around me. And he loves me despite of all everything's okay. It's okay. I'm allowed to be me because he accepts me. So that's taken me a long time to feel that acceptance and to understand that. And I'm still learning how to understand that and get deeper into it. But just saying that one line gives me it's like a reframe, or it's an anchor that I can go to. And that anchor is I'm okay. I'm just in my own head right now. I'm in like old patterns. I'm stuck in some nonsense that's not true. God loves me. I'm okay. Just be myself. And when I do that, I can be more of myself. Whether I'm with my son, right, and I'm angry about something, and I'm like, listen, you got to give him grace. Who were you when you were 9 years old? You need to be graceful and be who I created you to be. Or when I'm in a situation with people that are like maybe intimidating, be myself. Who'd you create me to be, God? I know who I am. Why am I not being me right now? So then be yourself. For me, those two biggest things, just having the awareness, that's the biggest thing. Giving yourself pause to have the awareness of, I'm not feeling okay right now. I need to reset this. Doing a little bit of breathing, just, I can think. And then saying that one verse of the Lord's Prayer, that for me, that is it's a seismic shift that I can feel in myself when I do that.
Exactly. But so how'd you get to that notice piece? Because obviously it sounds like, and I know for myself, when I was younger, there's no way I wasn't listening to myself. I didn't even know the pit in my stomach was a nerve. I didn't know the pain in my shoulders were the tension of life or how I was managing those things. How did you learn that for yourself?
I think it's just through being in enough pain and being so sick of it, right?
Mm,
So if you
yep.
experience the same thing over and over again and you hate the thing you're experiencing, you get so fed up with that. I'm so tired of feeling this way. I'm so tired of feeling like incongruent. And so for me, it was just like repetition of something that I didn't want until I started to get into personal development and I found my faith and I just kept going on that journey. And it's still, I'll tell you what, man, it happens to me on such a regular basis. It just happened to me last night. I was at a Bible study and I felt with a lot of friends, but a lot of people I didn't know also. And I felt unworthy. I felt
Mm.
like I was going to be rejected for speaking up. And I had some stuff I wanted to say. And so in that moment, I paused. Now, before I wouldn't pause, before I just clam up and shut down and that'd be it. And Rob's done for the night. You wouldn't get anything from me. But I recognize that and take that pause. So it's just over time. It's over time, the repetition. Here I am again. And then whenever I'm there again, how do you be more aware of that? You have to just keep doing it. You're gonna keep going back to that place of feeling that way. So just build the system in. Oh, I don't feel well. Okay, I need to do something about it right now. What do I know how to do? Something simple. Do that thing and then go from there. But for me, it was just the pain of experiencing it so often and then having to build the repetition in to change it. That seems to be the pattern that's worked best for me.
Yeah, no, that's great. Because you do have to notice it. There's a lot of times in my life I didn't notice the things I was doing because I had been doing it for so long, didn't realize the pain I was feeling, didn't acknowledge it. You just figure that's just the way it is,
Yeah.
versus the way that it could be once you start opening yourself up to more possibilities to learn and to experience. As you said last night, there's times I walk in, I'm feeling a little uncomfortable because of my limiting beliefs that I've grown up with. But then I'm like, no, Dave, just relax. You reset yourself and then reframe, right? I like using a lot of R's.
Well,
And
you know what? And to throw on to that, like, I didn't think that I could actually change back in the day. I can remember this is probably the reason, this is probably one of the big reasons for my divorce from my ex-wife. I can recall when I was in my like mid 20s and she was like, she wanted me to change some things. I had some drug addictions and bad habits and really negative thinking. I was very miserable. You would never know on the outside, but I was very miserable on the inside. So if you lived with me, then you had to deal with me, right? Because I had to deal with me and I didn't know what else to do. And she told me I needed to change. And I was like, change? I'm me. How am I going to change? I literally believed back then that I couldn't change. I was me and that was it. And if
mm,
you wanted to be around me, then you got to freaking deal with me. Ugh, I have to deal with me. You got to deal with me. And I did not have an awareness that I was actually able to change. And that shocks me today because that was maybe 15 or more years ago. And I'm a completely different person now where I know I'm allowed to change anytime I want. And I
yeah.
should be changing. I should be evolving. And oftentimes in
Right, it's
life,
evolving. It's not really changing, it's evolving.
yeah.
You're still your whole person, right? We're not changing your nose but the answer is it's evolving. And by noticing that, that's the really powerful part is looking internally what you could do and acknowledging what you feel. And are they valid feelings? Because feelings are what they are, but why are they there? Sometimes if I punched you, you'd be like, all right, Dave's not such a good guy. There's valid facts behind it, not just because, hey, I just don't like him as he's wearing green.
Yeah.
And that's where we know what we feel and being able to sit in ourselves to know the whys. Why are we insecure about certain things, the limiting beliefs that we've received?
Yeah, let me add something to what I was saying there
Mhm.
too. And by the way, I love the fact that you're in green. Teal is a great color and it looks good on you.
Thank you. Check us in the mail.
Yes, I did it. The affiliate worked. Affiliation worked. So I think mentorship also is a big part of this, right? This is just dawning on me right now as we're talking about this. One of the big things that caused me to change was I have met and I still have some incredible mentors in my life. There's one guy in particular, his name's Ray. Ray's in his mid 80s. Ray has been a coach and like a millionaire basically as long as I've been alive. And he's an amazing human being. When he's on the other end of all of this now and just to meet somebody. So back in 2018 when I met him, I was very intimidated. This guy's done it all. He's been super successful. I was very intimidated by him. His presence, let alone, is intimidating. Just he's a farmer, so like you shake his hand and he crushes your hand. It's like you have a little baby hand when you shake his hand. And I was so intimidated by him, but I'm like, man, I need to be around this guy more because he is like the epitome of integrity when you're around him, right? So it's like having a very respected grandfather. And I was like, I need to be around him, but he scares the crap out of me. And he's not mean, he's just intimidating because I feel like I'm so unworthy of being in his presence, that sort of thing. But he's so graceful, he's so much grace. And over time I asked him, would you be my mentor? And he's been my mentor now for since 2019. And we've built such a close relationship and having that relationship because we don't meet as much now, but I mean, for a solid 3 years, we met every week for at least 2 hours, if not 3 hours. And I just gleaned so much from him of just what it is to be integrous and what it is to be somebody of his caliber and his standard. And that was something that I think sometimes God just guides you into things like where you're like, I don't know why, but I need to be around this person. I need to
Mhm.
learn from this person. It's
Yeah,
scaring me, but I know I can't stay where I am now and I have to learn from them. So when you find people like that in your life, you got to grab a hold of that and really get close to them. And I think the great thing about having a mentor who's older, like Ray, like he's got a lot of time because he's in his 80s. He doesn't necessarily work anymore, although he's always working. So he's willing to pour into me. And you find somebody like that who's a great mentor, who's willing to pour into you, into your life. Man, that the what rubs off from that, you cannot put a price tag on
sure.
because it's changed me so much. Just the way that I speak, the way that I act, the way that I think, the way that I look at the world. It's changed so much. The mentorship also is just such a huge thing.
Yeah, it's that intentional. Again, when we look at ourselves, but also when we're sitting with somebody whose intentions are for our highest good and that they're making time intentionally for us, not fitting you in, not, hey, Rob, I got you for the next 10 minutes and then boom, I'm on to the next thing. Spending time. That's why when we appreciate even 5 minutes with somebody could be more important than 5 hours with another person. And not by the quality of the person, it's the intention that if somebody calls me up and I say, look, I got to call you back in 15 minutes. I want to make sure those intentions that I'm fully focused, not that I'm doing something with the kids. I'm being pulled here or I have to do something else. I enjoy when I do it intentionally or when somebody pours into me intentionally in those moments. That's the really important part. Like here, like a guest like yourself on the podcast, I try to make sure I've interviewed a lot of people over the years and they're like, you really researched me. I'm like, yeah. I make the intention of showing up because I want you to be highlighted as much as possible.
Yeah, and that's a good feeling when you meet somebody. And that's funny. You do a lot of research. I often fly from the seat of my pants because I feel like it's more natural that way. But I do a little bit of research.
Yeah,
But yeah.
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 I don't hire a company. I don't call FBI and be like, "Hey, send me the file on this." But
Yeah.
like just knowing the Unstuck movement, just something as simple as that. And we've had a bunch of conversations, so I don't have to research as much for somebody like yourself because I know who you are.
That's a good point too. I guess when I am preparing, I've at least talked to the person one time beforehand. So I have a good sense of who they are before we jump on. But it makes when somebody knows that you know about them or you've spent the time to learn about them, or even when you're just sitting with them and you're really listening and you really want to understand, that's like everything.
Yeah, and like I said, those intentions are really so important. So what are you intending to do right now? I know you're doing an awful lot of things. You're coaching, you have your podcast. What are some of the intentions that you are for your growth? And how do you identify the right ones for you?
I had a dream a couple of years ago, and so my intention it comes a lot from this dream, and it's basically just the tenets of the Bible, the two main laws that Jesus gives: love the Lord God with all your heart, and love your neighbor as yourself. Now, there's a big piece of that, the loving yourself part, right? That people
Mm,
leave out. So how do we love ourselves? And I had this dream a couple of years ago. I talk about it all the time, but I was in the car with my grandma and we were driving and she had already passed away at this point, right? But she's in the dream and she's holding my hand in the dream and we're going over a bridge and she leans over and she hugs me. And as she's leaning over to hug me, I'm like, Grandma, you're gonna wreck the car. What are you doing? And she says, Don't worry about where we're going. Just love me. Don't worry about where you're going. Just love people. That was the whole dream. I wake up, I'm like sobbing in tears. Obviously, it was God coming to me in that dream and giving me that message. And since then, 2021, that dream comes up all the time because it's like a North Star for me of I just need to, what am I doing right now? I'm trying to learn how to love people better and not worry about where I'm going so much
mm.
because I've been so obsessed and honestly worried about where I'm going instead of just being graceful that like if I'm obedient, God's going to provide. And so that's my mission is How do you live in that balance as an entrepreneur? How do I love people and really show up for people while growing a business and making it profitable and making it work and learning that? And right now, for me, going through this process, like podcasting is what I spent 20 years in broadcasting, right? I love podcasting. I love every component of it. Now, I was just writing this out last week and I was looking at it today. So I'll just go over this. What are the areas of expertise that you can learn from podcasting? So what are the things that you can be trained from and you can learn from in podcasting, right? You can learn how to be an expert, right? You can learn how to really talk about and be an expert at something, at a certain industry, by having a podcast. It builds your expertise. So with my podcast, the Unstuck movement, it's true testimonies of breakthrough. So it's how do you have breakthrough in your life personally and professionally? Leadership. So through broadcasting, through podcasting, because that's since I was 10, I was doing pretend radio shows in my bedroom. Like my whole life has been loving broadcasting. So I've redirected my focus. Like that's where I should put my time and attention because I love it so much. Leadership. If you're going to have effective conversations with people and have a great podcast, you need to be a great leader because you have to lead conversation. You have to lead people on a journey. And if you're not leading situations, then somebody else is, something else is. Authority. How do you become an authority in the thing that you know about? How do you become an authority in your industry? How do you become an authority in your life? Like by talking about something, having deep knowledge of that thing, and giving people that message. Communication, clearly, that's an easy one. Being able to communicate effectively, learning about yourself. I mean, David, I'm sure you've experienced this before you were ever on camera or on microphone. When you first saw or heard yourself, you were probably like, yeah, that's what I sound like. That's what I look like. You know what I mean? That's what people hear all the
I'm
time.
still
Like,
like that. I'm
oh
much
yeah,
more comfortable, but yeah, I'm still, when I hear my voice, I'm like, oh boy, really?
it's crazy, right? Because that's I look at it like this. I look at it like this. Everybody else in your life sees you and hears you, and they don't seem to have a problem with it. They're cool with you. It's just you hearing and seeing you that's like jaw dropping. It's this is me. So that part of learning yourself, that self-awareness is huge because then you can build confidence, right, in who you are. This is me. Oh, I actually get to see me now. Not just what I think I look like or sound. No, I actually get to see it. So being on video and microphone, it's a really confidence building step for personal growth and self awareness. And for me, those are the things I look at. How can I, through what I've learned throughout my life in broadcasting, how can I help other people learn those things? And how can you actually make money with this? How can you actually monetize this and have your authority and your expertise and your leadership and the way that you communicate become something that can be a stream of income for you in your life and in your business? So that's where I'm heading for the future is owning that. But while I'm doing that, loving people, right? Highlighting them, creating as many win-wins as I possibly can, and really truly learning about people. Like when you came on, I learned stuff about you that I had no idea about. Your attempted suicide and the things that you speak openly about and honoring that. That vulnerability is so rare. And for so many people, it's so hard for them to say those things out loud. So it needs to be celebrated when you can say stuff about you that nobody knows that you're ashamed of, but you've broken through and now you're owning it. So now it's become, instead of a mess, it's now a message that you can help people with.
Yeah, no, that's where our power is. And that's why I think where we started this episode is really knowing that inner power within ourselves. And it's really that authenticity. That's really what the bat's about, right? Bringing awesome thoughts or being authentic today. That's really what it's about. It's only when I knew myself was I able to do that. That's why I could do the video. I still might look at myself and be like, dude, I can't watch this, but other people do watch it. And other
Yeah.
people have been motivated by hearing my voice, hearing the podcast, and things like that, because I showed up in exactly who I am, doing exactly what I do on or off the camera, again, aligning myself, being congruent in every aspect, for better or for worse.
Isn't it funny that sometimes you can see and hear yourself and you're like, sometimes I can see and hear myself and I'm like, man, that was really good. And I can listen to a full episode of me and be like, way to go, Rob. Other times I'll see and hear me and be like, I need to shut this off immediately because I hate everything about it. And I'll shut it off and be like, so I've learned enough. I've learned enough. I used to beat myself up. I learned, oh, I'm not in the right headspace right now to view me And
Yeah.
that's fine. That's perfectly fine. I don't need to right now. It's interesting how I can hear the same thing or see the same thing and in one frame of mind, sit there, analyze it, and celebrate it. The other frame of mind, sit there and just beat the crap out of myself. And it's okay. Know when's the right time too. That's a huge piece of it.
Yeah, that is. And so that's one of the things I'd ask you. So I know your time is short. I'd like you to walk into our magic garden and you've given us a lot of information and just plant a seed that you think would be helpful for somebody to hear now, and maybe we'll have a magic sprout, or somebody who might want to hear it again and it just needs a little grow, a little nurturing.
Wow. What is something that I could give you in the magic garden? There's so many different things we could throw out.
I'm here all day.
Obviously, I already talked about this. Don't worry about where you're going, just love people.
Yeah,
And I think that for me, that is what I should include. 'Cause I mean, that's like the most pivotal thing for me, like right now in my life is if you're somebody who's constantly worried about what's next or where's the next dollar coming from, or basically it's almost like living in a life of dread of I'm not there yet. I haven't figured it out yet. It's not good enough yet. Blah, blah. Let's just shut up. Like, how can you just love yourself and have grace for yourself? And this is something I'm really working on with myself. How can you have grace for you just to let the stuff go? Just, it's okay. Every second is a new chance to start over again. The past really doesn't define who you are. You can start over right now. And if you did start over right now, how would you treat yourself? And how are you going to show up for other people? And if you were truly going to love other people, what would that actually look like? And if you truly were going to love yourself, what would that actually look like? If you stopped worrying about everything that's going on and just were like, okay, I need to treat me better. I need to treat other people better. Where would you start? What would you do? Sit down, take 20 minutes with no distractions, no phone, just a pen, paper. Write down the people that you need to treat better and what could you actually do to treat them better and put your name at the top of the list, right? Because you're
100.
probably at the top of the list. Because most of us, if we had a friend that we talked to the way we talk to ourselves, we wouldn't have that friend anymore, right? Because we talk to ourselves so negatively a lot of the times. If we had somebody in our life who we talked to, that they'd be gone. So write down the people that you need to love better and write down the things that you could do to love them better and start to build those habits into your life. I think that's the most important seed I could leave right now to be planted.
I think that's awesome. Again, even from my own experience, after my suicide attempt, people asked me, I was asked by the doctor, do you love yourself? And I paused. It almost froze me. You ask me that same question now, it's a definite different answer. It's part of my growth. I'm still not proud of everything that I've done in my past, but it's in my past, and I know that's not who I am now, nor the way, or nor what I'm going to worry about in the future. It's not something that I've done, but thank you so much. How can everybody contact you?
Just quite simply, my website, leadimpacttransform.com, or just Facebook, Rob Z. Wentz. Just find me on there, send me a DM, friend request. I'd love to connect.
That's awesome. And I'm glad that I've connected and that we've spoken to each other and gotten to know each other a lot better,
Same
especially.
here, Dave. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Okay. And everybody else, I just want to wish you, as always, peace and love in your lives. Bring, as Rob said earlier, make sure that you start that list of love and make sure that you're at the top of the list, and then everybody else gets added. We allow that. And when you're bringing it back, again, as we talked about during this episode, be authentic, be exactly who you are, no matter where you are, show up and swing it for your sweet spot. Thank you so much.